new addition to the build.
Our hot water system. Such a comfortable place to be looking at.
Mission successful. It's working. It's working. Let's go.
You ready?
Okay.
Wait. So you just have to get onto my shoulders. Okay. Just don't hit your head. People are looking at us like, these guys have fun. What an awesome way to enter your house. Alrighty, Angela. Can you please direct me?
And stop. Pretty good here. Well, that was a much heavier package than the previous one, but that is 100 meters of extruded aluminum, so that's why it's much heavier. The reason why we went to pick it up and it wasn't delivered is so that we can get it much faster. Last time it took...
cheaper.
Yeah, and cheaper. Yeah, it took double the amount of time. It was the same price for half the quantity, so it was a no-brainer. So if you do order the same profile as us from a company called AME System in Victoria, definitely recommend collecting to the depot much faster, much cheaper. The courier is Ego, doesn't have good reviews, but on both occasions, collecting at the depot actually worked very well. So we were quite grateful, at least we had that option on this occasion. So the reason why we couldn't use the stairs, as you saw, to load the mug with the packet with the aluminium is that we just decided to remove the platform because Chris hasn't secured it yet, so when we drive it would have not been safe, but that's definitely something that he will do in the future. But that was a cool little mission. That was cool to drive the mug. It's been a while, and
Yeah, gave the mug a run, got all the juices flowing again, and yeah, it was purring along. It did really, really well. Found one minor air leak, which was just something loose, so tightened that up. Other than that, had a little bit of trouble starting it. Had to prime the diesel pump because we haven't driven it since we cleaned the diesel tank that time, and I installed that new inline filter, so I think it just had some air in the line that I got out with a bleeder screw, pumped it up a bit, and it started straight up. So yeah, it was good to drive it. We need to do that more often. It's just a bit of a pain in the butt while you're building inside, and then...
It was a perfect day for it. Nice weather. We don't have not much at the back yet. And we just installed like the dicky seat, which is for the child, not for me, just temporary, so that I could sit at least in the mug. But yeah, I can't wait to get my air ride seat.
Really need to sort out our cab seat.
Put so much on the to-do list.
And then we can finish the car builders off, do a proper review of that car builders stuff, which has made such a huge difference. Finish off the carpeting and just call the cab complete. So we really need to get around to finding a fabricator that'll do a suitable job for it, I guess.
Alright, I don't know if you can tell, I'm under the truck and we've got a new addition to the build just behind me there. So, These are two 43 liters water tank or designed for water tank, but we will be using them for grey water tank as our water tanks from Atlas Tanks are coming, and they will be on the inside of the truck, and we'll have around 400 liters in total. So today we also went to Reese, get some more plumbing little fittings and as well bunnings, and Chris' task today is to do the plumbing.
Yeah, so both tanks are identical. They're quite small, but there's not much more we can fit under there. We squished them in. It took us like 15 minutes to get them in there, and I've just used a couple of straps to keep them in place, but they shouldn't be going anywhere anytime soon. So we've got a bunch of plumbing fittings for it. So what we're going to do is the shower is going to feed one of them via a waterless P-trap, and same thing over from the sink will drain into the other tank, but then we're going to link them together at the outlet so that I can drain them just through a hose. So we've got these fittings here. Now it's 3/4 inch stuff or 20 millimeter. So these are going to come out of the water tank because the male fittings. I'll cut a bit of hose, threaded hose to size. Then there's going to be a bunch of this stuff, as well as a ball valve on the very end of this high density 20 millimeter pipe. So this is all Filmax stuff, which is like really good quality stuff, and it should last us for as long as we need it to for our grey water. So pretty excited about that. So I'm going to get to that today, and hopefully it won't take too long to at least have the outlet sorted, and then we'll be ready to rock once the shower and the sink need to drain through the floor.
The last finish touch, the ball valve.
Ball valve. Yeah. And then I'll zip tie him right there. Bada bing, bada boom.
Beauty. Chrissy Boy, the plumber.
All right, job's a good one. Finished result. So we have plumbed the two tanks together. This tank will feed into this tank, which is just slightly lower than the other one just because of the mounting situation. So we've got an elbow here going into a bit of high density pipe, 20 millimeters thick, going into a T, which fires more 20 millimeter pipe under and through to a decent ball valve, which is just underneath our new jerry can holder. So that's nice and easily accessible for me. Now when it comes to plumbing the shower and the sink, we have the two inputs here at the top, which I have pre-threaded. So ready to go on that. That pipe is really like strong and dense, I guess. So I'm not sure I'll be able to use that for the shower and the sink. I might go with something a bit softer and which will have a little bit more give in it, but I'm happy with this one down here because it's super heavy duty, and I think it'll just be fine. And yeah, now I get to have chicken treat for dinner. Yes, chicken treat. Alright, so today we are doing our plumbing for the shower finally, which is nice. So recently we laid 9mm ply between the grooves of the T-slot aluminium, which has worked really well as the flooring, or the ceiling rather, for our garage space. And that has made a really good area, and the reason we put it in for our plumbing. So we are running John Guest plumbing at the moment underneath our garage space, right out of the way, but still really easy to access, which is the main thing. So if we ever had a leak, we can check it out really easily. So far, the only elbow, John Guest elbow we've got, which is like a push to fit thingamabob, is right here. So it's plastic elbow, pushes into the pipe. We have an insertion piece in the pipe that keeps it nice and rigid. And then we've also bought a locking ring, that red thing that also locks the John Guest fitting in place. Oh, if you're unfamiliar with John Guest, it's an old school UK brand, and they do some of the best push to fit fittings around. And the cable's not too expensive. It's like $2.95 a meter for the piping. So we will film doing the hot water line now to show you guys. At the moment, our mixer is just taped to this alloy. It'll be about here when we're finished with it, and it will run up to about here for where the pipe comes off of our shower head. So yeah, we're kind of working our way backwards at the moment. Our hot water cylinder, which we haven't shown you guys, will be about here. So the piping is going to run down here. This will be a wall out through here. This will be where our air conditioning unit is, which I'll be able to access and see to this plumbing again if there was ever a leak. And above that, from about here up, is going to be a fridge right here. So it's all on today, but most of it is still up here in our heads, isn't it, Ange? So yeah, we're getting there. So we'll show you guys the plumbing now. Through the grommet. About the same length there. That'll be easily enough. So these are little pipe hangers for PVC pipe. So that's what we decided to use. Again, just Bunnings. These are 18mm. They're $1 each. So they are way cheaper than the like $7.50 right angle elbows. And in my opinion, having lesser angled bends is going to have less effect on our water pressure than straight right angles that the elbows would do. So it might look a bit neater having them perfectly straight. I reckon it'll be a disadvantage both financially and in terms of water pressure, I'm hoping. So if you know otherwise, let me know, because I can always change them to elbows before everything gets all cabled up perfectly. But I reckon this is probably a better way to go. It just might not look quite as neat.
So the beauty is that you can do a test and just as well remove it if you need to shorten the pipe a bit more.
Which I do.
So just press on it.
You just squeeze the collar in and they pull straight off. They're really clever. My little cigar cutter. Last cut. Alright, so now I put a stiffener in. So the stiffener pipe stops any lateral like squeeze on the pipe at any stage. Keeps it nice and rigid so that it'll hold its form the best. They're a bit of a mission to get in though. There we go. Alright. Now we pop the John Guest in until it really goes to the back there. Cool. And then we've got a little lock ring which goes around the collar like a circlip. Boom.
and this will go through the wall that we'll have here, and we'll continue the plumbing in the coming days once we got a hot water heater here. Nice job.
Thank you. Easy. All right, now the pretty wicked part of the build has arrived, so we're gonna open this bad boy out and I'll show you what it is.
Ooh.
So we have got our hot water system. So this is basically a marine hot water heater, which is not only electric, but will also be heated by the cooling system in the Unimog when I plumb that all up. So super efficient system. This is a 40 litre tank, and yeah, it's just called an ISOTemp Basic, it's called. So I had to learn how to plumb this bad boy up, but this will be our hot water cylinder. So once I have this going to the coolant lines of the truck, as we drive, we basically get free heating of our hot water cylinder. Now this should get incredibly hot, and then it will basically hold its heat, hopefully, for quite some time. And then to top it up when we need to, we can use electricity from our batteries and obviously solar setup that we'll have to do the rest and keep it nice and warm for us. From the research we did, we reckon 40 litres is easily enough, and this will be under our kitchen sink area. So we decided to go with an electric system and one that's also run by or heated up by the coolant in the engine, because we think it's gonna give us the least amount of issues all around the world. Gas would have been the easiest and cheapest that we could have gone with, would have worked really well in Australia, but we don't want to be reliant on having gas tanks that we have to fill up overseas. Apparently that can be a real hassle. You can also get diesel ones, but we've decided electric, and this one is just a better system.
So we had many comments about the Chook in a previous episode, so we thought we'd introduce you properly.
Yeah, meet Chook.
YouTube.
Chook gets swooped by magpies. So
that's why she hangs with us.
Bit nervous, so she hangs out in here. But yeah, she really likes bagels. She really likes to shit absolutely everywhere. Fun fact: chicken, closest living relative to the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
All right, and this is the other shed mascot, Felix the cat. And don't worry, they are friends.
I don't know if I'd say friends. Maybe frenemies.
What? They just make sure we don't have a very long lunch break.
Oh, like a glove. Oh, it's good fit. Very good fit. Alright, so a bit has been done in the bathroom since you last saw. We have built the entire back wall out of the alloy. We've built most of this side peripheral wall, and we've attached all our little brackets that will secure the wet room villa board to the whole thing.
I'll show you that.
We've had to pull the shower away from the wall so that I'll be able to get behind and secure everything, and we can push the shower back in. And we've just attached this angle which will kind of pretty up the whole thing, I guess. And this is more just a looks one right now. This isn't going to add to the actual waterproofing yet at this stage. Yeah, we're getting there. It's awesome.
What do I do?
Help me line this bad boy up.
Okay. Okay.
It's like Christmas, but itchier. Okay, the hole should come through soon.
Yeah.
Okay. We're through. Oh man, this is stressful.
Yay!
So we made a hole.
And we hide the hole.
Yeah. So this will be for our extractor fan. Now we really struggled. We looked for so long to find a decent 12-volt fan that looked quite nice and was a decent size and had shutters on it.
And quite slim in thickness.
Yeah, we literally couldn't find anything that would, and have enough poke through to go through our wall, etc, etc. So we ended up settling for a 240 volt one, but it's incredibly low wattage. So what I've decided to do is have that, sorry, I'm a little bit ill, going to a 240 volt AC, which is your wall, your standard household power, and then I'll convert it via a little transformer to 12 volt DC, which we'll be able to run in here. So that's from eBay, that should be arriving pretty soon. So I will wire it to that, and that will come through to our electronics cabinet here. Now on the outside of the box will be little metal grate, super standard. This is 150 millimeters, this is like 180, so it will fit perfectly on the outside. And there'll be enough room for it to come through from here. So yeah, we're excited about that. It was a job that I was really not looking forward to, because I was just scared of drilling a hole in the side of our box. So it kind of looked like that in the shower. So it's pretty nice. And like I said, it has automatic shutters, so when it turns on, it'll open these shutters up, and then it has a timer as well. And yeah, it should be really good. So that's that.
Another job ticked off the list.
Yes, so then when we have our wet room wall, which will go there, we can drill the hole through and seal everything up from this side and then push the shower back into position. So a handful of you pointed out that legally you cannot weld to the chassis. I had no idea because I'm a buffoon. I just thought that you couldn't drill into the chassis rails and turn it into Swiss cheese, because that would obviously weaken it. I had no idea that like Joe Blogs can't come along and weld something to the chassis, so I'm an idiot. So basically, I'm very fortunate in that we have a friend in South Australia who's a heavy vehicle engineer. So I gave him a call and I was like, is that the case? I can't weld. And he was like, mate, you are a moron. So, but he said, it's all fine, just remove it, clean it all up. Luckily, I don't have the welding skill to do like deep penetration welds, so it hasn't done any damage to the chassis at all. And I can testify to that kind of thing. So I've cut it out, smoothed it over. You can probably see in here, it's all back to being completely normal again. No damage to the chassis whatsoever, because the chassis is like this thick, literally that C-section. So that whole step idea is now kaput, so wasted a bit of time and a couple of $100 on that, never mind. One thing I really didn't like about this step, it was great for entering the box, but as some of you noticed as well, leaving the box, it looked like literally a Punji death trap. So all we needed was a few pointy spears and could have killed everyone in the box as they came out. So yeah, that was not very good forethought from me.
There was not enough room as well, just to clarify, on the width.
It's a tiny amount of room to be able to pull something out all the way from the chassis rails over the tyre and then flip a small piece out. Now I can see why no one has done that. Probably should have realised that. So what I'm thinking of doing instead is, we've still got the torque lift steps, obviously. I'll have them coming straight off the front. That'll eliminate the fall danger to a degree. One negative of that is it means our steps come all the way out quite far. So if in a small campsite, that could pose a bit of an issue, and it's one of the reasons
to the neighbour.
Yeah, I liked having them off the side. What I'm thinking is having a couple of bolts sticking out of the torque lift steps, having a piece of our 3030 aluminium extrusion glued to the side here just under the door, and I'll just be able to slide the bolts in underneath, and that'll lock the steps in place. So the thing I still don't like about the design is the fact that we'll have to put the steps on every time, but that'll at least make it a bit faster. It'll be a little bit like a rooftop tent one. Slot it in, pull it out, and we're ready to go up. Yeah, pretty gutted, but I'm glad a few of you are a lot smarter than, well, all of you are a lot smarter than I am and noticed that. So yeah, you win some, you lose some.
But as well, another positive from that, what are we gonna make now instead of the platform there?
I'm gonna use the space Let's put another couple of water tanks, very similar to the grey water tanks we put in there. Link them together. I'll have a very small pump, quite low flow, but something that can handle being outdoors, and have that feeding like a little hand shower. So you'll have a little hand shower here or somewhere about.
Rinse the feet.
You can rinse your feet, you can rinse anything off, and it'll be completely separate from our main freshwater tank supply inside the box. So I guess if anything happened with that water supply, we would then also have this one as a backup as well. So, and that I'm guessing will be about 80 litres too. So that's one good thing, I think.
Great idea.
I might make it so that you can just, it'll have a filter on it and obviously the pump. I can just throw that in like a mountain stream and pump water into those containers, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, there's one bonus, I guess, the silver lining.
So this concludes this week's video. You may have noticed I was not very present in this video. I'm the one actually made Chris sick. I had like a cold the entire week. It hasn't been ideal. I'm finally getting better, which is good. So yeah, next week a lot going on. We're still waiting on our shower, but we should still be able to make some progress on the bathroom. We will start the electronics cabinet, which is exciting, and we're as well looking at getting a 12-volt pump very soon. So yeah, lots of things coming up.
Lots going on, bit of plumbing, bit of electrician work, bit of everything.
Yeah, so thank you for watching. Thank you as well for checking that you still subscribe.
We got our subs back, so thank you so much for that. It made a big difference.
So we'll see you next week.